With the 54th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select AJ Epenesa, defensive end, Iowa.
Not many front office personnel, analysts, or fans believe that the Buffalo Bills would have a shot at the edge defender from Iowa. For the past couple of years, momentum for Epenesa had been building for him to be a possible top 5 pick. While 2019 was his first season as an every down player, Epenesa still put together an impressive career. In 39 games, 13 of which were starts, he managed to rack up 99 total tackles, 33.5 tackles for loss, and 25.5 sacks. So how does a 6'5", 275-pound pass rusher with 34.5-inch arms and that sort of production fall to pick number 54?
Or number 90, this is your Daniel Jeremiah, second best pass rusher in the draft behind Chase Young, and he improves his time.
And I think when he gets to his pro day, you'll see that get below 5.
The Underwear Olympics validated some of the concerns scouts had with Epenesa's athleticism, and I'm not just talking about 40-yard dash. He struggled in several of the drills that scouts use as indications or benchmarks of athleticism. Teams like to choose edge defenders early in the draft that show signs of explosiveness on film, which is why Tennessee edge defender Darrell Taylor went ahead of Epenesa. Winning with speed isn't Epenesa's game, power is.
Certainly got a rare, unique explosion to him. He's very difficult to block in terms of when it comes to power.
My best attribute is definitely the bull rush. And I think that's the hardest pass rush for any offensive lineman to defend. And when you get them back on their heels and moving them, then they're thinking about that all the time.
If you want a definition of a bull rush, just runs right through him.
You'll never see Epenesa wider than a 7 technique, because that will only put him further away from the quarterback. And why would you want to do that when he can routinely use power to push the pocket? He's sort of like Shaq Lawson and newly signed free agent Mario Addison, in that when they go to the bull rush, offensive tackles feel it as soon as the hands land on their chest. The sheer pop in their hands and power created from the ground up puts them on skates. Like on this play against Rutgers. On the snap, the running back immediately releases into a route, which alerts Epenesa that he's likely one-on-one with the tackle. So he immediately drops his helmet, leads with his hands, and charges through the front door before the tackle can even hit his second kick slide. The blows immediately give him a soft edge and direct line to the quarterback. The foundation to Epenesa's entire pass repertoire is the long arm. I rarely saw consecutive pass rush reps go by without him leading with his 34.5-inch arms. Whether he's planning a speed or power move, Epenesa generally likes to land that long arm. He routinely lands that inside arm exactly where it needs to be, and it generally puts him in the driver's seat for the rest of the rep. And as you can see, once it's in place, he's able to generate an enormous amount of leverage and power, way more than the 17 bench press reps he put up at the combine. When Epenesa wants to use a long arm as his power move, he generally lands it by his second step, but he also can use it later as part of his speed rush package like he does here. On the snap, the tackle, Michael Dieter, doesn't appear to be worried about Epenesa beating him with speed out wide. Epenesa gets out of the blocks quickly and wins the corner, and in order to maintain the leverage, he transitions to the long arm. With the long arm in place, and Epenesa in full control physically and positionally, he is now able to process that the QB is likely to climb the pocket, so now he has to transition again. So as he is simultaneously pushing the pocket and closing the distance between himself and the quarterback, he retraces up the pocket and uses an inside chop to disengage to make a play on the quarterback. His natural strength and ability to generate power with that long arm is just a setup. Depending on his pass rush plan, he has several changeups built off of that move, including a stab chop, a move that can beat down the edge of the pocket and give him a shorter line to the QB. If the stab chop doesn't work, he has a foolproof backup plan, and that's transitioning to power. On this memorable sack against Penn State, Epenesa attempts a stab chop. He lands a long arm, which naturally gets a tackle to bring his hands up to engage. It's at this time that he executes a speed chop, but it's ineffective. But AJ's still in great shape, all because he landed his inside hand first. He quickly transitions to power by driving his legs, transferring that energy up through his hips and out of his hands. That force, along with the tackle's momentum already carrying him upfield, allows Epenesa to do whatever he wants with the tackle. Tackles in the NFL will be much more effective with their hands. They will deflect his hands or use chops and snatch traps to make sure that Epenesa doesn't win leverage. But he has shown the ability to adjust to the game within the game. With the tackle keyed in on the long arm and stab chop moves in this game, he flashes his inside hand, and the tackle haphazardly chops down and misses. Epenesa throttles the upfield rush with an apparent chip block coming, and transitions to power, and is able to generate pressure on the quarterback. That's the type of awareness, plan, and counter that you want your edge rusher to have. Being known as a power guy will allow Epenesa to maximize the speed and quickness he does have. It'll always be in the back of the linemen's heads, and when he crosses paths with guys who want to use aggressive sets, he can exploit them with his hands. His swipes, double-handed swipes, chops, and quickness in the phone booth allow him to beat the hands of tackles. Here he swats away the hands of the tackle and then executes a karaoke rush. What is a karaoke rush? It's where the rusher turns and faces the lineman while still rushing upfield by crossing over his feet. This technique allows the rusher to still attack upfield, but now he has the ability to reach and execute his hand usage with both hands, making him more difficult to block up. The young defender is always aware of chip releases from running backs and tight ends, because let's face it, he saw it a lot. He's able to avoid them with subtle movement, but the problem with this offensive approach is that tackles feel the need to be aggressive after their teammate changes Epenesa's line. So, they shoot their hands. Here's another version of that. With the tight end in line, Epenesa is forced into a reduced alignment. You would think that given the alignment that Epenesa wouldn't have the quickness to beat the tackle up the field. But that's exactly what he does. He creates a soft edge for himself. On the snap, he pins the tackle's inside arm and then executes a powerful swipe, which throws the lineman off balance and allows Epenesa to turn the corner. Not many rushers are able to incorporate the karaoke rush into their game, but it is absolutely crucial to Epenesa because of the lack of twitch and flexibility. He may not be able to turn the corner and run the hoop against athletic offensive tackles, but he's able to maximize his hand usage by being able to karaoke rush. First round draft pick Austin Jackson is able to smoothly kick slide wide against Epenesa. The angle set keeps the pocket wide and Epenesa as far outside as possible. Jackson maintained a good half-man relationship, and there's no way that the speed rush up the field will allow Epenesa to bend around the corner. So he faces Jackson while still threatening upfield, executes a karaoke rush as he powerfully swipes Jackson's hands to get the edge. He then executes a quick rip to clear his frame, and then circle rushes back up the pocket. As the quarterback prepares to throw, there's blood in the water, and Epenesa uses his length to get a piece of the ball to create another fumble. Epenesa's ability to read pass sets, QB's drops, anticipate them climbing or escaping the pocket is a great package deal. But his ability to create turnovers overall is the finishing trait you want in your defense. He has an uncanny ability to track the ball and knock it loose as the quarterback winds up or when the runner is making a move. Over the span of 3 years at Iowa, Epenesa forced 7 fumbles in the passing game and 8 in the running game. Buffalo forced 16 fumbles last season, the 8th most in the NFL. This finishing trait by Epenesa caught Bills general manager Brandon Beane's eye.
Another thing about him that people don't talk about, or I think did give him the credit for, this guy, he goes for the ball, and I think he led all defensive ends in knocking that ball out, and turning the ball the other way. A sack is great, but obviously, as we know, a turnover is even better.
For all the talk about the lack of explosiveness, it's kind of funny to see that he not only registered 25.5 sacks in 3 years, but another 30 hits on the quarterback to go along with those 7 fumbles forced. That's a lot of plays on the quarterback for a guy that isn't seen as a speed guy. There's no doubt that Epenesa is a prototype defensive end in the Bills scheme, a scheme that will typically align their ends in a 6 technique to the close side of the formation, or a 5 to 7 technique to the open side. His size, length, and power will be an asset against the run, but I believe that's also where we will see the most improvement. Right now, he's good against the run, but last year was his only year where he was a 3-down defender, so he missed out on a lot of run snaps. In 2019, he registered 295 snaps against the run, 163 in 2018, and 116 in 2017. Day 1, he'll be able to set the edge and deter offensive tackles from reach blocking him. That is a role that Lawson flourished in. I don't think he'll be on that level at the outset, but definitely a notch below. But he needs to do a better job of stacking and disengaging once combo blocks dissipate. At times, he stays covered up or doesn't have the acceleration to match the running back. Luckily for him, the Bills scheme is very similar to the Hawkeyes, including run blitzes on early downs meant to create tackles for loss. Most of Epenesa's TFLs were off of these types of play calls. Here are a pair of run blitzes from Iowa against Penn State. On the snap, he quickly gets across the face of the tackle and makes a tackle in the backfield. His quickness, long arms, and power make him very difficult to block at the point of attack or on runs away from him. He is generally able to hold his ground and be disruptive. Epenesa joins a very talented and deep defensive line, which will allow him to develop slowly. The Bills will be able to rotate him every few series like they love to do. Thanks to Epenesa's athleticism, defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier will be able to create some sub-packages, with Epenesa being utilized inside as well as outside. But much like when he got to Iowa, I believe bringing him along slowly will do wonders for his game.
For me, it was all about learning. Physically, I could have played. And I think everyone knows that I could have played. But mentally, I kind of struggled with it a little bit. When it came time for the games, it was really, let's not confuse him and let's just let him go.
The Bills got a great value with the 54th pick overall, at a position they sorely needed to inject some youth into. But they also added a man that will fit into their culture and the Buffalo community.
It doesn't matter how many stars behind your name. You go over there and fit the culture that they do up there. Whatever they tell you to do to make the team win, that's what you need to do.